This morning, I picked up my toothbrush with my left hand. It was awkward. My grip was uncertain. The motion felt clumsy and slow. My right hand, the one I have used for decades, reached forward almost by instinct, ready to take over. And I let it wait. I stayed with the discomfort, just for a moment. There is something strange about doing familiar things in unfamiliar ways. It feels wrong, inefficient, and yet research suggests that this kind of gentle awkwardness may be exactly what an aging brain needs. Today, I want to explore what happens when we invite a little discomfort into our lives. Not the harsh kind, but the soft kind. The kind that asks our minds to stretch just a bit beyond what is easy. For a long time, scientists believed that the brain was fixed in adulthood. What you had was what you got. But over the past few decades, research has shown something different. The brain continues to change throughout our lives. This capacity is called neuroplasticity. A review published in the journal Brain Sciences in 2023 by researchers Joanna Gil-Mohapel and Patricia Brocardo explored how neuroplasticity functions across the lifespan. They found that while the brain does slow down with age, it retains the ability to form new connections and adapt to new demands. The key, they noted, is that the brain needs stimulation. It needs to be asked to do something it has not done before. This is where gentle discomfort comes in. Robert Bjork, a psychologist at the University of California, Los Angeles, has spent decades studying how people learn. In a widely cited chapter from 2011, co-authored with Elizabeth Bjork, he introduced the idea of desirable difficulties. These are learning conditions that feel harder at first, but lead to stronger memory and deeper understanding over time. In their research, the Bjorks found that spacing out practice sessions, varying the way we study, and testing ourselves rather than simply rereading material all create short-term struggle but long-term benefit. The difficulty is not a barrier. It is the very thing that makes learning stick. A 2015 study published in Memory and Cognition by Jeffrey Maddox and colleagues examined these effects in both younger and older adults. They found that retrieval practice, the act of trying to recall information rather than passively reviewing it, benefited older adults just as it did younger learners. The effort of reaching for a memory strengthened the memory itself. This matters for everyday life. When something feels a little hard, a name that does not come right away, a word that lingers just out of reach, we might be tempted to give up or rely on shortcuts. But the struggle itself is part of how the brain holds on to what it learns. You may have heard of the famous study of London taxi drivers. In 2000, neuroscientist Eleanor Maguire and her colleagues at University College London examined the brains of experienced cab drivers who had spent years memorizing the city's complex streets. They found that these drivers had larger posterior hippocampi, the region of the brain involved in spatial memory, compared to people who did not drive taxis. A later longitudinal study, published in Current Biology in 2011, confirmed that this growth occurred during the training itself. What is remarkable is that the brain physically changed in response to a demanding task. The drivers did not simply become better at navigating. Their brains adapted. Research on motor learning has shown similar results. A 2019 study published in Scientific Reports by Daisuke Sawamura and colleagues found that training to use chopsticks with the non-dominant hand over 6 weeks led to measurable improvements in motor skill and changes in brain activity patterns. The unfamiliar task recruited attention and motor planning regions in ways that familiar tasks did not. This suggests that doing something simple with our less used hand, brushing teeth, stirring a cup, opening a jar, is not just clumsy. It may gently challenge the brain in ways that keep it responsive. A large international study published in Nature Communications in 2025 by Carlos Coronel Oliveros, Agustín Ibáñez, and colleagues examined the brains of more than 1,400 participants across 13 countries. They studied people who engaged in creative activities, such as tango dancing, playing music, visual art, and even strategy-based video games. Using brain imaging techniques, the researchers developed what they called brain clocks, tools that estimate how old a brain appears based on its patterns of connectivity. What they found was striking. People who had spent years practicing creative activities showed younger brain profiles than non-experts of the same age. Their brains looked healthier, with more efficient communication between regions. Even more encouraging, participants who underwent short-term training in a strategy video game showed modest improvements in their brain age after just a few weeks. Creativity, it seems, exercises the brain in ways that may slow down the clock. What connects dancing, drawing, and games? Each involves novelty. Each requires attention and adaptation. Each invites a gentle kind of struggle. I am right-handed, and as far as I remember, I've always been that way. But my mother once told me that when I was very young, I was actually left-handed. Before I can remember, she encouraged me to eat, write, and brush my teeth with my right hand. I do not know how that early change shaped my creativity or learning. I managed well in school and now teach at a university. But as I grow older, I feel the need to gently challenge my brain. So I have begun brushing my teeth with my left hand again. It still feels awkward. My right hand often takes over. But this small discomfort feels like a quiet way of inviting something new to emerge. I do not think of it as training. I think of it as listening to a part of my brain that has been waiting patiently for decades. We have explored 3 ideas today. First, that struggles in learning are not failures. Research on desirable difficulties suggests that effort strengthens memory. Second, that unfamiliar physical tasks, even small ones like using the other hand, can change the brain in measurable ways. And third, that creative activities, whether dancing, drawing, or playing games, may help keep the brain young. None of this requires grand gestures. It asks only for small invitations. A moment of patience when something feels hard, a willingness to try something unfamiliar, a quiet return to play. And then tomorrow morning, perhaps you will pick up your toothbrush with your other hand, or take a different route on your walk, or try to recall a word before looking it up. It may feel strange, that is the point.